Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Emma MZ Rose, and I am a loud, proud transgender woman from Northern Ireland, and a professional esports athlete. I guess I hate using the word athlete, but here we are. I competed. Uh, why? Why am I hearing myself back? Is that me? It is me. Professionalism. My phone has just decided to start playing, and there's nothing open. We'll just turn the volume off. Yeah, so I'm a professional player for Northern Ireland, winning a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games playing eFootball, and also playing for Great Britain very recently at the European Games, where I came home with a silver medal, losing narrowly to Italy, which was a real slogfest and really annoying because, like real football, Italy play hyper defensive, and I just couldn't break them down. And if you know football, the team who scores more goals wins. Outside of that, I recently had a short film about me and my career in esports win an award at the BAFTAs in London. It wasn't a BAFTA award, it was an ESI award, but it was held in the BAFTA arena, which is stupidly awesome to say. And yeah, it's been a real roller coaster of a year and a half, 2 years now, since the Commonwealth. Um, for me, it's been gaming has always been sort of my escape. It's always been my solace and my mental health break. Um, to be able to like just reset and go again for the next day's worth of whatever life wants to throw at me. So I've always sort of just disappeared into a game and been able to find sort of peace and like a break and the freedom to just be myself online. And I think that's the most important thing is that you can be yourself online in any sort of community, in any sort of game, in any sort of aspect. And you just get to have that like just a respite of knowing that you're in a judgment free zone. Um, and nobody can say anything to you, nobody can put you down. I mean, they can, and they quite often will, but they're idiots and they don't know you. They're normally, as people have already said today, it's normally people with, you know, a footballer as their profile picture, or very limited followers, or an account that you can tell is just a throwaway account and they're just there to troll people. So it's a double-edged sword having the freedom to be able to be yourself online. It does allow trolls to be trolls, but the positives definitely far, far, far outweigh the negatives. Um, Jokingly, I said I was just going to stare at the camera for 20 minutes, and I feel like that could be better content than what we're doing now. It might be fun. We're not going to do that. I'm only joking. So yeah, acceptance is a huge part of what I do. For me, it took me 30 years to sort of realize what the cause of my depression was, what the cause of my feeling like I didn't fit in, and by all the bad things pretty much that were building up and spiraling in my head kind of came to a T where I accepted who I was, which is me. Um, a proud, very loud transgender woman. And I think having the platform now from the Commonwealth and from the European Games and from everything in between, all the different events, I think just being visible and showing that there is people like me and there is people like in the LGBTQ plus community. We are all here, and there's a lot more of us now showing that we're here. There's a lot more of us now, having the courage to step up and be visible and to help inspire the next wave and the next generation of creators, of gamers, of influencers, of anyone who wants really to be creative or even work behind the camera or work in any aspects of esports or gaming. Um, and I think that's such a glorious thing is that you get to see more representation of who you are, and you get to feel like you are now represented within the esports community. It's definitely, don't get me wrong, it's definitely very much got a long way to go, but it's constantly getting better. Every day you have a new organization wanting to help, or you have a new person starting their journey, or you have literally someone will pop up and you'll find a new creator who's been working at it for ages and then writing their own path and telling their own story, and you're like, you can relate to them and their story, and then you can start sharing your story, and everything just sort of all lovely comes together, which is just fantastic. It's such an amazing like community we have in the esports and gaming space, that you can meet someone from across the world and share moments with them, then you can relate to them, and almost know what it feels like to be in their shoes in some ways, but then also learn from what they've done and learn from their experience. And yeah, it's a real sort of sharing and learning process, which is great, because accepting who you are and who you want to be is probably the most freeing thing you'll ever do in your life. Speaking from someone who was very heavily depressed for 30 years, as soon as I figured out who I was, like it was like a tipping scale. It was like super depressed and happy, and then obviously I'm human, so I have wobbles. Everyone has wobbles, and it's only natural, and it's only natural to like talk about your mental health wobbles as well. So I think once you accept who you are, you can then move on and start living your authentic life and start living happier and happily, regardless of what other people may or may not say online. Because at the end of the day, they don't know you and you don't know them, and whatever they say is not going to have any impact on you. It might hurt. We're all human. Words can hurt, but ultimately, it's not going to. And that sort of leads me on to talking about how I deal with abuse online. I'm very sort of thick-skinned. I've been to the lowest of the low. I've had my points where I feel I shouldn't be here. I've had points where I've sort of looked at a boss and went, you know what, this could be over very quickly. And thankfully, I've came out the other side shining. And now a two times international esports champion. Um, But yeah, I've been as low as I think I'll ever possibly be in my life. So now, whenever someone be's toxic or be's transphobic or rude or hateful online, to me it's just kind of like, yeah, what's okay, whatever, grow up. But also, what's your issue? Why are you like this? Let's talk about it, and let's actually educate each other on why you feel that you can come in here and you can start being transphobic in my comments or on my stream, or being homophobic, or just a not nice person. Like, why do you think it's okay? So for me, I try and educate them and have an open conversation, because a lot of them, they'll say something and they assume that you won't reply. So they'll leave a nasty comment, and if you reply to that comment, they're like, "Oh, I didn't think this person would actually talk to me." And then you start talking to them, and then they eventually either come around to realize that what they've said is wrong, or they get banned, which is probably one of the most powerful tools you can use as a creator and a streamer, is banning people from your chat, because you're in charge of what is said and what is seen. Um, but I always use that as like a last resort. I would rather try and educate people first and sort of share why what they've said is hurtful and why what they've said can actually do some real damage to people, rather than just instantly going, okay, you're done. Now, don't get me wrong, there is exceptions to that rule. There's some things that once they're said is an instant no, like you can't do that. But if you're gonna come in to my chat and be like, what's that flag? What country is that flag? It's a flag for transgender people. Not all flags are countries. Educate yourself. Flags don't have to just be for countries. And then they're like, oh, I didn't think you'd reply. I was just trolling. So then you have a conversation, and then you maybe get a follow, you maybe get, some more interaction. You maybe get a member of your community in the long run. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of them you don't, because they are just throwaway accounts. They are just troll accounts. They're just there to, I don't know, lighten their own day and try and make their day better, which, hey, if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. But you probably should start seeking some sort of counseling if that's what you have to do to make yourself happy, is put other people down. Um, what they don't realize as well is that whenever you get like a lot of nasty comments or a lot of nasty interactions on your socials or in your stream, you're actually boosting the algorithm. So for me, it's like I don't like seeing it. Nobody likes seeing it because why would you? Nobody likes to have hate targeted at them, and nobody likes to read it. But they're helping push your message. So if I put a post up about, I don't know, pronouns or being yourself, and I get a lot of hate on it, it's going to push that piece of content to a wider audience. So it's then going to get to more people who I actually want to see my audience. Now, yes, it's going to go to people who will then leave more hateful comments, but I would rather my message get out to say 1,000 people and five of them, if they're like, actually, Emma, that helped. Thank you. You've helped. Oh, sorry, microphone. You've helped encourage me to start making content, to show myself online, to talk in games. Just from you being unapologetically yourself and not caring what people think of you, because why should you? Unless they're your close friends and family, then that's a different story altogether. Um, but just by being yourself, you can help inspire other people. And I think that's something that when you are given a platform or you have a following or you build up your community, like if you just be your authentic self, I think you owe it to your community to just keep being yourself and keep helping push and keep sort of being a visible presence in their life and in their sort of like professional sort of growth. It's not always easy, obviously. As a creator or as a player, there's a lot of stress that comes from competing and from constantly hitting a schedule. So, like I always say, like take a break. If you don't get yourself burned out, take a break. And the fans in your community will always be there when you come back. Your numbers may take a hit initially, but if you're in it for numbers, you're probably in it for the wrong reasons. And if you start again, your numbers will go back to where they were and probably continue to scale and continue to grow. So it's a pretty carefree way of dealing with abuse. Is my way of just like talking to them and educating them, because without education you're never going to change. Someone can come in and say something in my comments. I'll be like, whatever. And they can go say the same thing to someone else who's maybe not as far along their journey as me or is maybe just starting out. And that can completely knock them for six and make them not want to make content, make them not want to be involved. So it's almost like responsibility of people who are at our stage to educate them and to make sure they know that what they're saying can hurt people and will hurt people. So don't do it. Don't do it. Um, but they don't always listen, which is sad. There is also a lot of help available online. So by no means am I an expert in pretty much anything. I'm just a professional messer, we can say, a mischief maker. And I just share my story. So I share what I've been through, my depression, my transition, my coming out story. I just share what I know has happened to me and what has helped me and what has affected me. So by no means am I a professional. And if my messages are always open, my DMs are always open. You can always reach out to me with any issues, but ultimately, you know, there always comes a point where I may have to, signpost you to like a mental health professional or a charity or an organization that I know will be able to help you better than I ever could. Because again, I'm just a girl, plays video games for a living and goes to events and tries to be as visible as possible. So there's tons and tons of amazing groups and organizations out there that really sort of help push diversity and inclusion and specifically in esports and gaming. Obviously, we have this amazing Be the Change event, Be the Change Summit, sorry, by Women in Esports, which is an amazing um, part of British esports, and they do so much. They've been with me since the Commonwealth. They gave me my first sort of steps into, being on a panel at my first ever Insomnia, where I met other people, and I got to network, which led to more events and to more events, and then it all just snowballs. So, without women in esports support, without women in esports support, that's a tongue twister. I definitely wouldn't be anywhere near where I am. And obviously, as well, it goes without saying, British esports have always looked after me. They've always sort of give me a chance. The fact that, you know, going back to the Commonwealth, Northern Ireland accepted me being a trans woman, of a transgender woman from, and let me play in the Women's League, which it's Northern Ireland. We're not the most forward thinking country at the best of times. And the fact that they were just like, no, you're a woman, end of story, was amazing. And that has bled through into like the European Games with Team GB and everything I've done really. I've never been, sort of anything other than just MZ, just me, which has been amazing. Um, Other communities you could go to the likes of OMG out making games. They're a queer game dev company, or not for profit, who basically help bring the queer community together for game devs and players. And I've recently just joined them as well, from an esports player perspective. And they do some amazing stuff for anyone who wants to get more involved in creating games, in the behind the graphics and every sort of aspect that's not really player based. So they're pretty amazing. You have the American companies like the Gamers, Fem Gaming, Wiggy, who are pretty much international and just want to help women take over because we all know we're better than the boys. It's a given fact. I'll fight anyone who says differently. I won't because I'll lose. But we are just as good, if not better, than a lot of them because we have to deal with pretty much not only just being a professional player, but also being a woman online, which you can never have a bad day as a woman. It's always because you're a woman, which then leads to stupid, toxic comments. So you have to battle that and be the best of your game. And sometimes you're just hungover and you're just having a bad day. It happens. We're human. Um, Trying to think what other companies. We got Safe in Our World. They're coming up later, so I'll not give you too much about them. I'll leave you on the edge of them, and you can tune in for their panel later on this evening. You have the Samaritans, who are an amazing mental health charity. I've done some work with them before, and they do a lot of stuff in the gaming space. You have NSPCC. You have Children in Need just did a big, massive gaming event. You've all your big charities get involved now in gaming and esports and really help push the positive mental health care agenda because it's esports. Your highs are massive, but your lows are pretty low. So I think there's a lot more being done now for mental health in esports. And I think I've only got like a minute left. So I don't really want to get into another tangent because we could be here all day and I will talk forever. I had to go all this off without my notes because my phone decided to start playing LinkedIn and I lost all my notes. So hopefully it's been okay. And thank you everyone for watching and for getting involved in the Be the Change Summit. And if you want to follow me, my socials are at MZEMZII192 on literally everything. And I mean everything. So yeah, drop me a follow. My DMs are always open if you have any issues or questions or you want to talk about literally anything. I'm here. Never feel like you're alone. You can reach out. I will always reply. I may not reply if it's the middle of the night, but the next day I will definitely get back to you and do what I can to help. Thanks, everyone.